Congresswoman Delia Ramirez didn't hold back. Today, she accused Secretary Noem of corruption, lawbreaking, and weaponizing government power and demanded her resignation on the spot.
Gentlelady's time has expired. I now recognize Ms. Ramirez for 5 minutes of questioning.
Thank you, Chairman. Secretary, it's good to see you. I'm going to go straight to the questions because I have a lot of them. Let me start just following up with Congressman Goldman about judiciary. Do you agree that the judiciary is a co-equal branch of government and it is your obligation as a member of the executive branch to honor decisions made by the highest court of the land? Yes or no, Secretary?
We are
Yes.
abiding by all federal judges' orders, absolutely.
So yes, it's a co-equal branch of government. Okay, well, let me ask you a follow-up question to that. Do you agree that Congress is a co-equal branch of government and it is your obligation as a member of the executive branch to honor legislation and appropriations duly authorized by Congress? Yes or no?
Yes, that's why
Thank
I'm
you.
thrilled to work
Well,
for
let me
the
ask you the
president that is
follow-up question
enforcing
here
the
because I
laws.
have a lot of them. Do you agree that Article 1 of the Constitution gives Congress the power of the purse? Yes or no?
Yes, that is a duty
Do you
of
believe
Congress
that,
to be
let me
able
ask
to
you another
appropriate
follow-up, it's
funds.
just yes or no. Do you believe you have the power to disregard congressional appropriations and unilaterally repurpose funds that have been duly appropriated by Congress? Yes or no?
Ma'am, we are not doing that.
So the
We are
answer to
using
you is
dollars
no.
as to
All
how
right,
they
well,
were
it was a yes
appropriated.
or no,
We're ensuring the
Secretary. Let me
programs have been
continue.
delivered.
Interestingly, you said no. But since you've been Secretary, you have repeatedly disregarded the law. You have illegally impounded funds that Congress appropriated and that your branch of government must implement pursuant to the law. Yet you've closed offices established in law, including the Office for Civil Rights and Civil Liberties, the Office of the Immigration Detention Ombudsman, the Office of the Citizenship and Immigration Services, and you've canceled contracts for programs authorized in law, including shelter and service programs and citizenship and integration grants. You've obstructed and roughed up members of this committee as they attempted to conduct congressional oversight, and then you vilified them. But my question is, if they were so bad, why were they allowed to go in after to conduct oversight? Let me just continue. You redirected funds to terrorize our communities. You created taxpayer-funded political propaganda campaigns to terrorize families and children who don't sleep at night because of the terror of those commercials that you are putting out there. You hold sick, disrespectful press conferences in my state where, let me be clear, you are not welcome. You corruptly used emergency authority to avoid procurement to make Trump's private prison donors richer by directing $45 billion for them to expand ICE detention centers. You defunded work to address real threats to the homeland, all while you pursued college newspaper editors, labor leaders, and even a Harvard scientist who failed to declare frog embryos at the airport. Clearly, we don't have time for all my questions, so I have 13 pages worth of questions that I will be submitting to the record that I expect you and the administration to answer. But here is my final question to you. When you took your oath, did you swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America? Yes or no?
Yes, I did.
So I find that laughable. You don't behave like someone who takes that oath seriously. And let me tell you why. We don't live in a dictatorship or a monarchy. Trump's will is not the guiding doctrine of this nation, and our country is not a playground for his or your twisted authoritarian fantasies. We are a democracy. We defend the Constitution and we affirm the rule of law. We respect the co-equal branches of government and we uphold our rights, even when we disagree. The foundation of our nation is based on a core set of constitutional rights upon which our prosperity, our pluralism, and our peace depend on it. You, however, have been leading this work for 116 days, and in that time, you have profiled and dehumanized our neighbors. You've betrayed our constitutional commitment to due process. You've deported United States citizens. You've undermined the courts. You've broken the law. You've engaged in corruption, and you've weaponized the immigration system to violate civil rights. As Senator Murphy perfectly stated, your department is out of control. But you're responsible. You have betrayed the sacred fundamentals of your oath. And I believe to my core that you are not fit to hold the office. And I again, to your face, demand your immediate resignation. And I put it and place it on the record for all of us to see. With that, Chairman, I yield back.
Generally yields. Mr. Gabarino is recognized.
Thank you, Chairman. Madam Secretary, thank you so much for being here today. I'm the chairman of the Subcommittee on Cybersecurity Infrastructure Protection, so I work with CISA a lot.
Delia Ramirez didn't just ask questions, she delivered a constitutional lesson in real time. In front of the Secretary, she laid bare the tension that exists when the executive branch oversteps its bounds and ignores the fundamental principles that underpin American democracy. She started with the basics, but the basics matter. She reminded the Secretary that the judiciary is a co-equal branch of government, that Congress holds the power of the purse, and that the executive is bound to follow the law. These are not abstract points, they are the pillars of the American system, designed to prevent abuses of power and protect citizens from arbitrary rule. What Ramirez did next was methodical and incisive. She moved from principle to practice, showing a pattern of behavior that she argued directly contradicted the Secretary's sworn obligations. She pointed to repeated instances where funds appropriated by Congress were withheld or redirected. Offices mandated by law were closed. Programs designed to serve vulnerable communities were canceled. Oversight was obstructed, while those who attempted to conduct it were vilified. Ramirez wasn't just presenting grievances, she was drawing a clear picture of a government official who has turned the mechanisms of the state into instruments of personal or political agenda. The examples she cited are jarring because they touch real people's lives. She highlighted how families and children were terrorized by taxpayer-funded political campaigns, how emergency powers were used to enrich private prison operators, and how critical homeland security work was deprioritized in favor of politically motivated actions. Even the pursuit of minor infractions against academics and journalists revealed a pattern. This is not just mismanagement, it is a systematic weaponization of government power. Ramirez framed all of this as a betrayal of the Secretary's oath to defend the Constitution, a promise that is not ceremonial but foundational. She went further, connecting these actions to the broader implications for democracy. Ignoring the separation of powers and the will of Congress isn't just a technical violation, it corrodes trust in government. When elected officials or appointees act as though they are above the law, the very system of checks and balances designed to protect citizens and maintain fairness is weakened. Ramirez reminded the Secretary and the public watching that the American system depends on respecting co-equal branches of government, honoring due process, and defending civil rights even when doing so is politically inconvenient. Her call for resignation was not mere rhetoric, it was framed as an ethical imperative, a response to a breach of trust so fundamental that continuing in office undermines both the law and the moral authority of the position. Ramirez's words are a reminder that accountability in government is not optional. It is a responsibility to the Constitution, to the public, and to the very idea of democracy. This hearing shows why oversight matters. It is not just about partisan politics, it is about ensuring that public officials cannot weaponize government power for personal or ideological gain. It is about protecting the rights of citizens, preserving the integrity of the law, and reinforcing the principle that no one, not even the highest officials, is above the Constitution. Ramirez's questions and accusations are a vivid example of what it looks like when elected representatives use their platforms to defend these principles, to educate the public, and to demand that those in power be held accountable. This moment is also instructive for all of us as citizens. It demonstrates the mechanisms in place to check authority, how oversight is conducted, and why civic engagement, watching hearings, asking questions, demanding transparency, is vital. Ramirez teaches that democracy is not passive. It requires vigilance, courage, and a willingness to confront wrongdoing, no matter how high the stakes. What do you think? Should Secretary Noem resign in light of these accusations? The conversation about accountability doesn't end here. It starts here. Engage, learn, and make your voice heard. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you can stay informed on the issues that shape the foundation of our democracy.